With news on Sunday that a groundbreaking deal was struck to curb Iran's nuclear activities, reactions around the world ranged from elation to caution to outright hostility. First to Tehran, where there was some celebrating in the streets. The country's leaders called the deal a political victory for President Hassan Rouhani and a step toward economic relief.
Cracks have been made in the regime of sanctions, and as time passes, the cracks will grow wider.
On the opposite end of the spectrum is Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu decried the deal, calling it a historic mistake. Some members of the U.S. Congress expressed concerns over the deal, including Charles Schumer, the Democratic senator from New York, who believes that the West will lose leverage by giving Iran some sanctions relief. And lastly, there was China, which struck a decidedly cautious tone.
This is an important step forward, but the step has just been taken out in the air, and many detailed issues must be solved in order for the first step to hit the ground.
Even Secretary of State John Kerry isn't pulling his punches. While there's a lot of commotion around the deal, he was trying to keep things in perspective.
Now the really hard part begins, and that is the effort to get the comprehensive agreement, which will require enormous steps in terms of verification, transparency, and accountability.
In the Ukrainian capital of Kiev, a multi-day opposition rally continued Monday as thousands protested President Viktor Yanukovych's decision to abandon a planned trade pact with the European Union and focus instead on ties with Russia. Several hundred protesters clashed with riot police outside a main government building. Police fired tear gas after they said protesters threw a smoke bomb. In recent months, Russia has imposed trade restrictions on Ukraine and threatened dire economic consequences if Kiev were to sign the EU deal. Russia wants the Ukraine to join a rival trade bloc of former Soviet states in an effort to maintain Moscow's influence in the region. The Kiev rally is the largest since Ukraine's pro-Western Orange Revolution in 2004, which brought Yanukovych's rival Yulia Tymoshenko to the prime ministership. Tymoshenko has been jailed on what many believe were politically motivated corruption charges since 2011, and one of the conditions for Ukraine's EU membership was her release. Ukrainian officials say they are still pursuing closer EU ties, but can't risk the damage worse relations with Russia would cause for its recession-stricken economy. Hundreds of Thai protesters entered the finance ministry compound in central Bangkok on Monday, escalating a month-long effort to oust the government of Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. In total, some tens of thousands of protesters marched to 13 locations around the capital to urge government officials to refuse to serve the government and take their side in overthrowing Ms. Shinawatra's administration. Protesters allege that Ms. Shinawatra acts as a proxy for her brother Thaksin, who held office from 2001 to 2006 before he was toppled by the military. The mostly urban middle classes also oppose what they see as the administration's open-handed spending on the rural poor, which they believe is a drag on the economy. This is the Foreign Bureau, WSJ's Global News Update.